everyone, it's me, Ella, and welcome back to my channel. If you saw my last video, which was my 6 cast change vlog, you will have very briefly seen me talking about my plans for the next day towards the end. Those plans being to go and see the Lion King exhibit at Battersea Power Station, and I also had tickets to see Moulin Rouge at the Piccadilly Theatre that evening. My intention was to vlog the day, but unfortunately that didn't end up happening. So for today's video, I've decided to do a theatre-going overview talking about the Lion King exhibit and also sharing my thoughts on Moulin Rouge as well. So let's jump into it with the Lion King. The Lion King exhibit is a pop-up exhibit that has been at Battersea Power Station over the course of February half-term week. It was located on the upper ground floor near to the Apple shop and had some of the costumes on display, including those of Rafiki and both the young and adult versions of Simba and Nala. Next to each of the costumes you had this little information piece which told you a bit about each of the characters, as well as some of the thinking and processes behind designing the costumes for the show, which I found particularly interesting. There were also some puppetry pieces on display, one of which being Zazu the bird, who I instantly recognised as he has been at MusicalCon at the Excel on a couple of occasions. I believe he has been to all 3 of the conventions we have had so far and has also made an appearance at the West End Flea Market in the past as well. So it was wonderful to be able to see him on display as part of the exhibit. As well as Zazu, there was also a gazelle on display in the interactive area in the middle of the exhibition, which you could actually pick up and have a photo with if you would like to. In the interactive area, there was the opportunity to get up close and personal with some of the masks, costume materials, and even fabrics used to create some of the costumes, as you could actually go and touch these pieces, which I thought was a wonderful opportunity for the exhibit. Lion King is a show that I haven't seen before, and until seeing the exhibit earlier in the week, I wasn't 100% sure on it as a show. But what I can say is that the exhibit has definitely brought me closer to the world of Lion King, and I would very much like to see how some of the pieces that were on display are used to tell the story of Lion King and bring it to life on stage. I had a wonderful time exploring the Lion King exhibit at Battersea Power Station, and who knows, maybe Lion King will be a show that I look into at some point in the future. You never know. Moving on to Moulin Rouge now then. So after seeing the Lion King exhibit, we left Battersea Power Station and made our way to the Piccadilly Theatre for the performance. My friend Jack was with me on this trip, and I didn't know what to expect on this one, having not seen the film. I did, however, read a little bit about Moulin Rouge before coming on this trip, and based on what I had read, my first impressions were that it was going to be something similar to Figaro, which I saw at the London Palladium 4 weeks ago. Anyway, when you go into the auditorium at the Piccadilly, you are instantly transported into the world of Moulin Rouge as soon as you walk through that door. It is beautifully lit with a humongous elephant on one side of the auditorium and a pretty little windmill on the other side of the auditorium. We were row K in the stalls, and where we were sitting there were these steps leading up to the stage which the cast used throughout the performance, and the set is gorgeous. Where we were sitting also made me feel like I was part of the production. So to just sit there and watch the story of Moulin Rouge come to life on stage in such an immersive way was beautiful. The immersiveness of the production is actually one thing that took me by surprise, and going back to my first impressions, I was obviously expecting something similar to Figaro, and within the first 20 minutes I was getting something similar to Figaro. However, once we had passed the 20-minute mark or somewhere around there, I was slowly starting to discover that Moulin Rouge was in fact its own thing, which took me by a pleasant surprise. I absolutely loved it. I have never ever gone into a show expecting one thing to then have my expectations taken by surprise. Until now, that has never happened before, and Moulin Rouge certainly delivered it. Another thing that I do want to touch on is the costumes. The costumes are stunning. I loved the costumes worn by the can-can dancers in the opening number. They were fabulous, but my favourite costume in the entire show has to be the one worn by Satine in her first entrance in the Sparkling Diamond. That costume is stunning. It is covered from head to toe in beautiful sparkles and is finished with a beautiful glittery top hat on Satine's head. That costume is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. And speaking of Satine, she was played by Angela Marie Hurst at this performance, who was the understudy. I absolutely loved her performance. And also, speaking of cast members, there were in fact some familiar faces that I recognised in Moulin Rouge, one of which being Ivan de Freitas, who was the original Lance in And Juliet at the Shaftesbury Theatre. I saw Ivan as Lance when I saw And Juliet in December 2022, and it was wonderful to be able to see him again in Moulin Rouge. I recognised him instantly and I absolutely loved his performance. Also, speaking of And Juliet, I did go and see that earlier this week, the brand new touring production at the Curve in Leicester. I will pre-warn you, there have been some changes to And Juliet since it was at the Shaftesbury, but I will be going into detail about those changes in my next video, which will be on And Juliet, and it will be coming very soon to my channel. Anyway, back to Moulin Rouge. I absolutely loved the show, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. Moulin Rouge is a treat for the eyes. That is what I'm going to say about that. It is a theatrical treat for the eyes. I would absolutely love to come back, and I had a whale of a time. So that brings this Theatregoing overview for Moulin Rouge and the Lion King exhibit to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as I said, my next video will be on And Juliet, coming very soon, so keep your eyes out for that, and I shall see you then. Bye!